1 franchise, 3 novels, 1 movie, 3 delays, and finally 7 games. Wrong. Okay. 8 games. Nope. Fine. 9 games, 1 story. Wait, just a few more. Okay, that one doesn't count. Besides, Game Theory only made 1 video on it. You gotta have like 3 videos minimum in order for it to count. Don't forget about my next game. Okay, I am actually excited for that one. Five Nights at Freddy's is a game that got its start in 2014, made by a guy named Scott Cawthon. He was a fortuitous man. He made indie games that never took off, such as Chipper & Sons Lumber Company and The Desolate Hope. Someone told him that the sprites from Chipper & Sons were too creepy, though, and he actually took this idea and ran with it. That's what I love about this franchise. He funneled these creepy designs into his next game, Five Nights at Freddy's. It was his Hail Mary attempt. And it worked. Players found the jump scares exceptionally terrifying.
I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there.
Where's Bunny?
Which you would know if you ever watched Markiplier play this game. Talk about listening to your audience. It was fun to play. It is really fun to watch other people play. Scott knocked it out of the park. Since then, FNAF has only gotten better and better, in my opinion. In this video, we're going to cover every game in the series, and if you're not convinced that this is the best indie game franchise out there, then leave a comment down below and let's get a conversation going. FNAF 1 was released on July 23rd, 2014. It became a smash hit because of its unique mechanics and terrifying jump scares. The first installment in the series was very straightforward, with 4 animatronics out to get you: Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica. There was also a 5th rare animatronic called Golden Freddy. The game goes as follows: survive 5 nights as the night guard, plus a bonus 6th night and a later added custom night. This continues as the basic formula to this day. To survive the night, you have to perform certain tasks in order to stop the animatronics from getting into your office and killing you: closing the doors, switching the cameras, etc. Oh, by the way, you have limited power, just to add tension. And don't forget, closing doors costs extra power. That logic is so backwards, I just can't. The original game will always hold a special place in my heart, though. It's the most basic version of the FNAF formula, and it's proof that it really works. The lore in this first outing was also very subtle, since it wasn't the expansive universe that it is today. 5 murders, possessed animatronics, that's it. Oh, and the minigames are the strongest here, since the basic Atari art style really brings out the creepiness. FNAF 2 added some new spins on the old formula, like a good sequel does. A strange music box, a puppet animatronic, a Freddy head the player can wear, and no doors. This game also boosted the lore a bit, since it had people debating hardcore about whether it was a prequel or a sequel. Now we had 2 versions of every character, doubling the amount of killers we had to keep track of. And this game's custom night was especially hard too. I think Markiplier commented that FNAF 2's custom night took him the longest in terms of hours spent trying to beat a 6-minute level. This is the point where the series really started to pick up steam. And Markiplier has also stated that FNAF 2 is his favorite game. I don't know if that's still true, but I can believe it. It's a near-perfect sequel, building off the elements that made the first one so special, like a good sequel does. Unfortunately, for many followers of the franchise, this was the peak for them, but we'll get into that. The hype around FNAF 3 was real. It finally released, and it was kinda underwhelming. I don't know. It might have had something to do with 90% of the jump scares not actually killing you, and the only real way to die isn't even that scary. I mean, this game took place at Fazbear Frights, a horror museum of everything Five Nights at Freddy's that's stalked by a real animatronic/dead guy. I'd say this is the weakest game in the franchise. It's okay, it's just not as good. The minigames are actually pretty satisfying. Kind of the most satisfying of the entire series, including the Happiest Day minigame, which was supposed to conclude the series, I believe. And the minigames also had secret Easter eggs themselves, which was pretty cool. I mean, this game serves its lore purposes, but other than that, there's not much to this one. Luckily, the next one was a little better. Ah, a new refreshing take on the FNAF formula. We're out of the pizza place and in a kid's bedroom. Wait. So, in FNAF 4, you're playing as a terrified kid trying to keep the animatronic nightmares out of your room. This game works a lot with sound, as you have to listen to the animatronics breathing to figure out how close they are to the door. It's a nice spin on the old formula. There's even a mode where you're blind and all you do is listen. It's awesome. But while this game is neat conceptually, in terms of the lore, it just completely derailed the theory train. Apparently, no one can figure out what the heck is going on in this one. Are the animatronics real or just nightmares? Who is the crying child? What year are we in? All confusion aside, at least we got some good memes out of it.
Was that the bite of 87?
So, Scott just couldn't help himself. FNAF 4 was supposed to be the final chapter, but nope, here we go. All joking aside, Sister Location is a great addition to the franchise. It weaved its lore with the gameplay fantastically. This was a turning point in the series, where the games wouldn't just go back to the old formula, except for Ultimate Custom Night, but we'll get to that. The designs of the animatronics here are actually really great too. I especially love Funtime Freddy and the Bonnie hand puppet on his actual hand. It's here where the series just gets better and better. Pizzeria Simulator is amazing. The gameplay is akin to one of those simulator games, makes sense, where you're working to upgrade your environment and sources of income. It's a creative take on the franchise, and no one could have predicted the finality of this game. It's also probably the creepiest game in the franchise.
Now I will tell you a story. A story about a kind man who would visit 5 orphans and bring them toys and gladness. The man lived alone, and lived in fear that someone might break into the house of one of the 5 children, so he adopted all 5, and brought them together in one place, in his own home. He promised them to never leave them, and they promised to always come home, and never stay out too late. He left one day to buy food, his heart being filled with gladness, but returned to find that the burglar had chosen his home, and killed all 5 of the children. The man could only afford one coffin, so he stitched the 5 bodies together to make one, and buried the child. That night, there was a knock at the door.
My god. The ending of this game is also really powerful and final. Definitely a strong contender for the best FNAF game. This is a quick one. Ultimate Custom Night is a crazy spin on the old formula that the series has shied away from a bit at this point. It's a typical survive the night sequence, but with up to 50 playable characters, give or take. There's even a bit of lore here if you dig deep enough. It's a perfect cherry on top for the whole franchise. But there's one last game we haven't covered yet, and it's actually my personal favorite. Help Wanted is the first FNAF VR title, and it's arguably the best game for VR out there. I'm serious. It's got the dry humor of Sister Location and FNAF World, a creepy atmosphere, and a downright chilling ending. The real meat of this game is the minigames, some of which are typical Freddy Fright Nights, and some that are completely new levels. Seriously, some of those night terror levels are actually insane. This series has had some highs and lows. FNAF 3 is probably the least memorable, but FNAF VR more than balances it out. But the franchise is more than just the games. It's a novel series, a potential movie, etc, etc, etc. A lot of people stopped watching after FNAF 3 or 4, and it's a shame. They're really missing out on some amazing stuff. Like that Candy Cadet story, terrifying. I'm excited to see where things go from here. The next game in this series is called Security Breach, and it already looks absolutely amazing and terrifying.
It won't happen again. It was just a glitch.
Gregory, be still. I think she's found us.
I made a video about it in the trailer, link is in the description. But seriously, if you haven't played these games, but you're curious about what the deal is with them, you should play them. Or at least watch Markiplier and Game Theory's playthroughs. They are exceptionally bingeable. Leave a comment down below about what your favorite FNAF game is and why, so let's get a conversation going. Next video is a typical review video on something I think you guys are gonna like. Thanks for watching.